Hello and welcome to another episode of the Principal Liner Notes podcast. I am so honored to have this person on the podcast, Natasha Nurse. Tasha, you are a seasoned educator. You are a sixth grade STEM teacher. You are a mentor. You are a connector. You are a force. And I'm so grateful that you're here today. This has been a long time coming.
Yeah, I actually have been waiting for this moment because I met you, Sean, through one of my dear friends. She's my best friend, Lauren Kaufman, and she spoke such beautiful things about you. And, you're talking about trailblazing. You're the trailblazer. You're the one that gets out there and makes the connections and makes the fun happen. And, for me to be a part of this evening, I'm so honored. I'm thrilled. So thank you for inviting me on your podcast.
Well, I don't even know what to say after that because I'm babbling because I'm grateful for you because I have been following you for quite some time. I'm a big fan of your work, and then really Lauren Kaufman connected us, and she's been on the podcast a couple of times. She's also, as I say, the informal executive producer of Principal Liner Notes podcast, and so I'm grateful that we have that connection and a very, very special person in that she's brought us both together this evening.
And I got to tell you, Sean, you are from, if I'm correct, please correct me if I'm not, you were from one of my favorite states, North Carolina.
Yes, North
Family.
Carolina is
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. I have a lot of family and Fayetteville, Rocky Mount. Wow, Raleigh. I have a
Yeah.
sister in Raleigh. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's cool. Well, I'm on the western part of the state. I'm in the Piedmont. I'm in Winston-Salem. And so Fayetteville, Rocky Mount, Raleigh are all that's not too far. That's less than a couple of hours. So next time you're down for family reunion, we need to meet halfway somewhere, or
it's a done deal. Done
yeah,
deal.
it's gonna happen. So, or I'll just crash your family reunion because I
And you have an invitation. You don't even need an invite. You just come. I'll let you know in
I feel
advance.
like we are family. I mean,
We are.
we are. So what I'm interested in, and there's many things about your role and what you do as STEM, and you're very great about and very gracious about posting the work of your students. And often when we think about middle school, we think about all of these kind of negative stereotypes and perceptions. I was a middle school teacher. I was the principal for three different middle schools in my career, and middle school kind of gets a the short end of the stick, but in what you share and what you promote and what you empower is so far removed from the negative stereotypes of middle school life.
Yeah. Wow, it's interesting. I was reading, Lauren just put out a blog earlier today,
Yeah.
and she talks about the messiness of
Yes.
learning. And I think coming into the mindset that having that mindset about students that, in the middle school, they're coming to you bringing, you know, a whole bunch of messiness. And when I say that, I mean they're excited, they're learning, they're trying to come into their own. And me understanding that as their teacher helps me to be more grounded and meet each and every student where they're at. And my focus, and I'm going to have to quote Megan, and I know this is your girl Megan Lawson, but
Yes.
Lawson talks about legacy work. And for me, I see my middle school students way off into the future. And because I see them way off to the future, I'm thinking about creating that legacy, or having them create a legacy
Mhm.
of what they're learning in school, something that they can take with them to go off and never forget it. So that legacy work is what keeps me inspired. That legacy work is what my father left me, to pick up the baton and keep moving and really focus on students in the community that I live in and work in. And that legacy work, is something, again, it keeps me grounded. So I meet middle school students where they're at because I see them far off into the future doing something even greater than what I'm doing now.
So what does that look like and feel like in your classroom, building that legacy work? And I love how you frame that, because there's an art to that. You shared, Tasha, that legacy keeps you grounded, but in the same time, there is this kind of foresight. There is this forward thinking vision that you have, and it's so important to do that specifically in middle school, because you're in the middle of the middle. All of the physical and emotional things, social things are happening. Middle school students will change their personality, not every day, but within an hour. And and you have to be prepared for that. So I would love to hear what does that look like in your classroom?
I can tell you what it looks like. It's relationships. My students know that I care about them. They know that I have their backs no matter what. I meet them where they're at. I allow them to get messy in the classroom and to clean it back up. My students understand that they have voice and choice. And that's always been something that I've stood by, making sure they had opportunities to run our classroom.
Mm,
I never was a type of teacher that would just be that in the front teacher and all information I put out and students receive it and spit it back out to me. I was always putting students in the center of everything. And in that way, my students see that, you know what, Miss Nurse, she really cares about me. She's giving me the opportunity to take risk. She's giving me the opportunity to mess up. She's giving me the opportunity to think in a different way. And I have to tell you, Sean, it has never been easy. But when you're in it and then you step out of it and reflect, you see that your students are benefiting and they're becoming better human beings. And
yeah.
that's what I focus on. It's that. So
I also would be remiss too, because in your the first part of the response, you did mention our girl Megan Lawson and Legacy, her wonderful book, which has been close by with me, Legacy of Learning, and I think that's so, and you both echo this, that we have to think about teaching and learning in terms of the long game, and that legacy and having that awareness grounds us and empowers us. And if you see that sixth grade student in your STEM classes as just as a sixth grade student, and not as a future innovator, future engineer, future architect or artist, or some other part of the future that hasn't even been invented yet.
right.
I think
That's
that's so important.
right. It is. And think about it. Our goal as educators is to connect the real world to what we're teaching in the classroom. And when you're talking about STEM and 21st century learning, these things have to be real to students. And it
Yeah.
can't just be book knowledge. And for me, I tell my students all the time, my sixth grade students, when you walk into my room, I want you to feel free and open to really explore. And I had the privilege of writing the curriculum for STEM, and I had an opportunity to work backwards, thinking about my students once again, like I told you earlier, putting them in the middle and really finding how I can make those connections to what's happening in the real world in their lives.
So when you have someone that may not be fully aware of STEM, or they think they're aware of STEM, and they probably go, "All right, Tasha,
Yeah.
y'all just play with Legos and you do robotics, and okay, that's so. What's your response to that? How do you counter that, to say that no, it's not just Legos and robotics that we're doing in here?
So much bigger than that. As we were talking about this a little earlier. I had a launch party last night, and our sixth grade students from last year developed a actual experiment, a research proposal, where their proposal was selected by NASA, and this actual experiment flew on the SpaceX last night, headed to the ISS, International Space Station. So, my district, they're looking for cutting edge ways to really get our students connected to what's really happening now and into the future. So it's really about, you know, making those opportunities that are really real and happening in the real world now. I'm thinking about my curriculum. My curriculum is connected also to renewable resources,
Mm.
energy and resources that exist right now. How do I get the students thinking of, maybe one day I want to be an engineer, or maybe I want to design something that probably or does exist right now, but I can tweak it and make it better. I want to, and robotics and coding, all of those things are important, but I think we touch the surface when it comes to just focusing on those areas of STEM. There's so much more to STEM. There's
Yeah.
so much more. And really giving students that understanding that science, technology, engineering, and math, and letting them know the connections to the different careers out there, I think opens their minds more.
I can only imagine what that launch party must have felt like, and to see the rocket and knowing that not only was it your hand, but it was the hands of the students that were aboard that ship. I mean, I just that I get kind of goosebumps thinking about that, friend.
Can I tell you, Sean? I had a literal tear come out of my eyes because the students that were on are my current sixth graders. They have just wrapped up writing their research proposals for the next launch. So they were watching last year's students. And
Wow.
then we had a few of the students from last year join, as well as administration, my amazing director, Christy Tersey, who took the lead on this project. And that's what you call real world connections. They're never going to forget this. And
Yeah.
as we watched the countdown and that rocket take off, I said, this is the legacy work. And then this is why I had to bring up Megan Lawson's, that this legacy work she's talking about. This is how we create legacies.
Hmm.
It's why we do what we do.
It's and really what you've said, it's something I've written about, and I share with the faculty is, and I believe this, is that somewhere in the building is the next Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or next Natasha Nurse. And if they're not that person, then maybe that student will be the mother, the father, the professor, the teacher of that person that is going to come up with a masterpiece or a new art form or a new invention or innovation. And here, not only this wasn't a real world connection, my friend, this was like an out of world
Yeah.
connection. Like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
just I gotta go.
Oh,
I'm just it blows my mind. Hopefully, and I would encourage you, not only, and I need to go back and look. I don't know if you've posted on your social media feeds yet, and I haven't had a chance. I've been podcasting all day, but I hope that to me this moment sounds like either the basis for your future TED talk. It's it's the basis for a conference presentation, and dare I say, the opening chapter of a book or a blog post or something. I mean, I just see this story really you taking off with it in some way, shape, or form.
yeah, I appreciate that. It's, it it touched me. And if it touched me and it touched all of our administrators in the Long Beach School District and the students, Sean, if you could have saw their faces. They were clapping. They had the emojis, like the congratulations, the hearts, and their smiles, and they got up and they were dancing in the camera. That's what we live for as educators. That's our why, and that's part of our why. And you're right. This is a moment that I have to really take to the next level. You're right about that, Sean. I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome, and so we've got it captured here in the podcast. So you'll take this and use it however, and then and draw from it. I hope that you do, and I want to be in the audience when you either give that TED talk or at your book signing or something. But I just think it's such a powerful and compelling story that you need to chronicle in some way. That would be my hope.
And deal.
You know, STEM is something and again, how did you fall into it? What led you? I know you know you're a, as you mentioned in your notes to me, a seasoned educator. I love how you frame that. So how did what was your journey to kind of get you to this point?
If anyone knows anything about me, I am a risk taker, and I'm a calculated risk taker. I was in the classroom literally over 16 years. I taught as well. I was an instructional coach, and Lauren and I and another colleague of mine, Christine, we worked tightly, very closely together as instructional coaches in our school district. From there, COVID hit. I
Hmm.
taught virtually for a year, third grade. And after that, I said, you know what? Our instructional coach role had ended. I taught virtually, and I needed to press the reset button. I needed to see, what else is out there for me to do so I can go inspire other kids. And I knew middle school was next level. I knew that was the next step that I should take.
Hmm.
And STEM, just happened to, they were looking to bring STEM into the middle school. And actually, this is recently this year, to connect it to the K-5 STEM program that currently exists. But science just wasn't opening, because I was familiar with science. I love science. I love literacy. And I, was an instructional coach for all subject areas. So it's just a natural progression for me to take. And I took it. And it's the best thing I could have ever done for myself. Yeah.
Nice. Wow, that's quite the trajectory there. What inspires you in terms of education? Where do you draw from to help build that legacy in the classroom? What's on the bookshelf? What's on your loop to that fulfills you to do this great work for kids?
I
Curious.
I gotta tell you, I'm wrapping up Catlin Tucker's book, Student Led.
Yeah.
And again, I'm about voice and choice, and it's a Katie Novak, and it's an excellent book. And really, we're using that book as our book club book for our mentor program, and that keeps me in the mind have the mindset and the focus on what's important, and those are our students. When you lead understanding that students are the focus, that gives me the energy that I need to keep showing up each and every day. And yeah, that it's an excellent book. So if anyone has not read it, she has an amazing book out. So
Awesome. We'll definitely put that in the show notes. You
yeah,
mentioned book club and you mentioned the LB mentoring thing, and I know that is something that is very true to your core as an educator and as a leader. So I'd love for you to explain a little bit about the origin story of that program, and it's also going to connect to our mutual friend,
yeah.
and then what it is, and because I just think it's such powerful work that you're doing for teachers with this.
Yeah, so I am a coordinator, a co-coordinator, Christine Lamarca. She and I, we both run the mentor program, and it's for teachers K-12, our new teachers that come into our district.
Mm.
And we have our seasoned teachers who are actually the mentors, and they mentor over the mentees. Now, Lauren was actually the coordinator of the mentor program before she left our district.
Mhm.
And I gotta tell you, it is one of the most important work that I've ever done. Now, of course, teacher, but to really be that teacher leader and embrace those new teachers that are coming in, understanding, that you've been exactly where they're at, it's inspiring. So for me, the work is a humbling work. For me, the work keeps me on my toes of, what's really out there, the newest and latest, things that are happening in the world of education. All of that I feel, responsible in making sure I know and I understand so I can bring that back and share it and teach our new mentees how to go out there and do that too. What's important also is having a PLC. And we've definitely put that message out there, your PLC, and that's how I know you through PLC, is some of the most important connections you're ever going to make in your life. And when the going gets tough, your PLC will always have your back.
Yeah.
So really, being a part of the mentor program has lifted me up as an educator, and has really shown me that, look, one day when I'm not here and I may be doing something else in the field of education, you all are going to continue the legacy that I left. So we
Hmm.
go back to that legacy work again.
Right, legacy. It's such a key component.
Okay.
And you mentioned, and I followed this too for the last couple of years. You all just do a great job of book clubs, and it's something that I struggle with, and I always hesitate to get going. I'm a reader. I'm a high school English teacher by trade. I love, I'm carrying Megan's book around,
Yeah.
and and I'll do that. I'll carry books around because I want to start a conversation. I want to connect with somebody about it, and if they're interested, I always secretly hope we can start a book club. Doesn't always happen. In fact, it's never happened. But but what I would say is how do you, what's your secret to sustaining a good book club for busy educators? And again, the mentor program, I know there's some nuances there. You've got beginning folks that all these demands are at them. But you all have, you and Lauren before you all picked such great titles and did great things with it. So what's the secret?
I'm going to tell you, we started off with Lainey's book.
That's right.
Yeah, do you remember we were posting, and it's about thinking about the needs of your people. You know what I mean? It's and I think that's the way we really come up with these ideas of selecting books. Lainey's book on gratitude, I mean, that
Mhm.
really changes your whole mindset and shows you how to be grateful for those things that are right around you and
Mhm.
and take advantage of it. So we wanted, our teachers to really see that where they're at right now. And in time, there you go.
One
Yeah.
for Annie
Yep.
Rowell. Sorry to interrupt. Evolving with
Gratitude.
gratitude, which is a yes. And
I'm
you
throwing,
you were on her podcast as
yeah,
well last year, earlier this year. So
yeah.
powerful book.
Powerful book. So, the teachers, they ran with it. They found ways to connect with themselves and who they are and
Mm,
how they could, show gratitude and be grateful for the things around them. With this new book that we're reading, we really thought about, and I talked to you about this earlier, student voice and choice. That
mm,
is the theme in our district,
mm.
student voice and choice. So we wanted to bring something that teachers could actually use, apply in their lives, and really help each other out and those that are around them. And her book gives you actionable steps that you can take. It's so hands-on, just like Lainey's book is. And I think less is more. We don't go so big, but we look for the needs of our teachers. Yeah.
That's that's a key component, and I think that's where I have often misstepped in when I've done book clubs over the years, and I'm still a little gun shy, but I think it's important that even though I'm carrying around this great book,
That's legacy. We
which
need to start a book club. We really, I mean,
that would be fun.
I would love to do that.
And actually, Lauren and I have talked a little bit about doing something. So yeah, this could be something. We
Sign
can.
me up.
Yeah, you're in. We got it. We
Yeah.
got to do that, and that would be fun to collaborate with you on that.
Yes, I
And
would love
Lauren,
to.
that would be very, very cool. So yeah, we'll talk more about that. But it's meeting the needs
Oh,
of teachers and being in tune with that. And it may not be a book that you might espouse or whatever, but you've got to find the need. And I think the beauty of something like Lanny's book, Evolving with Gratitude, is it's so universal. and even though there's a lens through the schoolhouse in which she takes you, you can still take that book and apply it elsewhere, which I think also too is the secret of a good book club. And or if it happens to be your district theme, then it's practical, and you can make and you can make it applicable that way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point, Sean. I have to say, just you're hearing that word gratitude, gratitude, gratitude everywhere. And with the backdrop and things that are going on in the world today, you need to find what things you're really grateful for, whether it's in education or the business world or, the law field, the doctor field, the medicine field. It is about thinking about the needs. And our teachers are the work we do, Sean, and you know this, the work's so hard, but it's so rewarding.
It
And
is.
this is the time that we need to build each other up and give each other, as well as, those surrounding us, what we need to be successful.
Right on. One of the things you mentioned before we started recording, I learned something about you that I did not know, is that you are pursuing, and you mentioned risk taker.
Yeah.
So you are taking a bit of a risk, and I know you got it. In terms of pursuing your leadership licensure. So I would love to know your why behind that, and your journey right now with the leadership certificate.
Yeah, that leadership role. Yeah, what's huge for me, Sean? It's about being a people's person. And
Mm,
what I mean by that is understanding their wants, their needs, and really being that person to help them get there. I get excited when I see others excited.
mm,
That brings me my excitement. And I felt like, you know what, I've been in the class for a while, and I've stepped out a little bit and come back in. And I want to go out there and I want to do something that's transformational. I want to do something where I'm creating other leaders and I'm getting them to see, that they have it. And even if they don't want to go off and be a building principal or someone in the district and that leadership role, well, how can they be that leader in the class and create their students to be leaders around them?
mm.
So for me, it's more of doing that work of building others up. And for me, that brings me joy. And I'm grateful for that.
Oh, well, I how close are you? How far away are you from completion?
Few more months. Yeah, I'm in my internship phase right now, and I have 3 more classes to go, and it's fast track. I'm learning. I'm with an amazing assistant principal in my building, Chris Frank Viglia, and he's amazing. He's humble. He's been teaching me about how to move and how to work with people and how to know your stuff. And he's a great, great mentor and a great person. So,
That's I envy him because if I and I've said this to Lauren, if we were remotely close, if I in North Carolina, Long Island, wherever, I would want to be in your band, and I would love the opportunity to mentor you, or have you shadow me, or what have you, or do internship. I'm envious.
yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Can I tell you, Sean, I'm eating everything up almost to the point where I have to like slow down a little bit, and I'm having nothing but fun. And I it's not work. And a lot of people say, Tasha, you got to slow down. Tasha, and they're right. I do have to make sure that I'm balanced, but I'm having so much fun. I am. And I work with a great bunch of people that are really helping me out, along the way. So I have the support. I do.
That's great. Now, you mentioned in the little questionnaire that I do for guests, you put down such a wonderful, soulfully eclectic array of music. And this is the principal liner notes, and we do talk about music. So what are those things? What are those songs, those artists? I was trying to find my Marvin Gaye. You I got the Four Tops back here, so I would just love to know your journey and passion with music.
Oh, it started with my parents. My mom was born and raised in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and my dad, Columbia, South Carolina. And I just remember, being small and going to a place called Westbury Music Fair and visiting, seeing the Temptations live. They always took us to live concerts, the Four Tops.
Mm,
I think it's Blue Magic. We saw so many people, Diana Ross.
mm,
And my mom was a big jazz enthusiast. So I remember listening to Chuck's music. Those are the things that led me to embracing the type of music that I embrace. Four Tops, Temptations, Marvin Gaye. Like, I grew up with that music, and
yeah.
we still listen to it now. And I always remember my dad in the aisle in Westbury Music Fair. He'd wear a hat, the feather on it, and he would dance in the aisle, and you'd hear that music playing, Stairway to Heaven, the
Mm,
OJs. We went to see, if I believe it's the OJs, yes, OJs, Temptations. All of those groups were a part of, my music life growing up.
mm.
Yeah.
It's funny you mention the Temptations, and I think about my youngest twin daughter Rachel, who is a huge Temptations fan. Her bucket list is to see "Ain't Too Proud"
Yeah.
on Broadway, and
Yep.
she's a big Broadway person too. Um, but there's just and I grew up with Marvin Gaye,
Yeah.
the "What's Going On" album. My dad played that nonstop, and that's a big part of my musical upbringing. And of course the Tops. I mean, I wish I could sing and be as cool as Levi Stubbs.
Oh boy.
Um, yeah, just amazing stuff. But then, then you mentioned too, like Thomas Rhett. I mean, I just love you're just all over the place. I love that. I love that, when it comes to music.
I love you, and you have to be. And that's another thing that my mom and dad taught me, is to experience different genres, of music. And that's what connects you to the real world. I go back to making those connections. I grew up with rhythm and blues, but I grew up, listening to country music. I
Mm,
grew up listening to jazz music.
mm,
And all of those things, shape me into the person I am today. So when I'm in different circles, I can hold it down, having great conversations about, what I know. And then I'm willing to try and listen to music that I'm not familiar with. So open mind is what my parents taught me to have.
I
Yeah.
think that's key to the gig,
Yeah.
where and you just nailed it, Tasha, where we're connecting students to the real world, but we're not it's not that we're connecting them to one place or one path.
Yeah.
We're connecting them to many different circles, and creating that. By connecting them to the real world, we're helping them develop an agility for understanding, empathy, gratitude. And then it's not just as Todd Whitaker was talking about, because he was on the podcast the other day.
Yeah.
um it's just not here. We're increasing the trajectory, we're enhancing that trajectory, and you literally have done that.
And this is the power we hold. This is a part of my why too. We hold so much power. And I think if we reflect on what we can do and how we can share it and how we can learn from it, there's nothing that you can't do as an educator. And I think it's all about your mindset. I mean, there are days that it doesn't always go perfect. And it's not what you thought it would end up being. But it's what you bring, I believe, to the table. It's what you bring in terms of your positive mindset and attitude that really makes what you do an amazing thing. And again, I respect and love how, you have your strong PLC and your podcast, and then you're a building leader. I admire that, because you follow your passion, and we can do that um, as educators.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, my friend. Do you have any conferences that you're going to present at? And if so, where? And if not, why? Because you should be. Because what you just said there, I'm telling you, we
Okay.
we need a Tasha Nurse TED Talk. Tasha TED, tag TED into this. We got to seriously. What a powerful story you have.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to follow you. I'm definitely going to do it. I am.
please.
I am.
I mean,
I'm totally going to do it. I'm presenting. Well, I actually presented at our superintendent's conference, and but I'm and there are other conferences I'm looking at, but I'm going to take what you said, and I'm going to run with it.
I
I
need
will.
you to. And if Lauren was on, um, I texted her just a little bit ago. She says hello. Um, and so Lauren and I, we're gonna create this conspiracy
Okay.
to amplify Tasha and to get your beautiful legacy out there. You have just a strong belief not only in your own powers as a teacher, but you have such a strong belief in kids. In the business, we call that efficacy. And when I look up efficacy in the dictionary, I see your picture.
Wow. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. You don't want me crying on your podcast.
Here, hey,
Well,
I've cried on the podcast, so yeah. Sometimes I cry after, and I go, "Who's this geek?" But anyway, how can folks follow you and find you? I'm very lucky that I follow you closely. So how can folks track you down and interact and connect with you?
I am at Natasha_Nurse on X. We don't call it formerly Twitter. And then
Yes,
for my Instagram, I am T Nurse LB.
nice.
T Nurse LB. Yeah.
Do you have any big trips planned? Because I remember seeing you and your beautiful family. There was a Disney World trip, and then you connected with our friend Lauren, and I was so jealous because I said, I mean, so do you have another big trip planned?
We're headed back to Disney over the Christmas break, but it's funny. I was supposed to end up in Hawaii, and Lauren's taking a cruise to Hawaii in December. So we're unfortunately not going to be able to meet up with each other, but we have other stuff planned. We
Nice. Well, real that is good, and I know I'm long overdue for a New York trip, and
Sean,
I'm trying to make it happen.
if you come, we will lay out the red carpet for you. Just
Oh,
understand that.
I will just be in awe of the whole thing. So,
Yeah.
and the thing too about Disney too, I mean, and again, that as a STEM teacher,
Yeah.
that's a playground for you. I mean, it is a playground, but as a STEM teacher and
Yeah.
the whole Imagineering, I'm sure, I mean, do you just go there and like go on the monorail and go, okay, here's a lesson or here's an idea?
It's funny. It's funny you say that. I do. Well, I'm on the monorail, but the people mover. There's a people
Yes.
mover in one. And I like my thoughts, the deepest thoughts come to me when I'm in a place and I'm just whether it's on a train, whether it's on a plane, whether it's traveling in the car. That's the time where I can be to myself and really reflect. And in Disney, even though we're running around every park, there's certain rides where you're able to do that.
Yes.
And that I take advantage of those small moments, which end up being huge.
Yeah. And I didn't know we would talk about Disney, but here's my Tomorrowland mug,
Oh,
which I got the first trip that I took my girls to for Disney. And going there and I was born in California and the first 10 years of my life were there. We went to Anaheim every summer when Disney was a little bit affordable, Disneyland. And so that whole notion of images of possibility, like Tomorrowland is a really special place to me. And it impelled in me this notion that, man, the world, hey, the future and Carousel of Progress and the
my
people.
favorite, one of my favorite rides.
I love the Carousel of Progress, and I would go, man, what's life going to be like in 2000? And I'm going to be 30, and all this is going to happen, and it's just this kind of notion that the world is going to be a better place, and Tomorrowland for me represents that. So I have a lot of fond memories, and I again, I just imagine a STEM teacher in Disney World. Just you're with your family. You're wow.
It's the app. And the funny thing is my daughter's there right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's there now. She's an annual pass. She became an annual pass holder. She's one of she's a sweetheart. She loves books. She loves reading. And she works for a company where she has to give all these presentations, but yet she can disappear, read a book, and then travel to Disney. And that's where she feels at home, at her place to just let it all out and think. And yeah, so it's her
That's so
favorite.
cool. Oh, that's great. Well, kudos to her, and kudos to you at Disney. So ride Space Mountain for me, ride the People Mover
I
for
got
me, and uh and
I
and
will.
we're gonna connect in person. We're gonna make this we're
I
gonna make
can't
this.
wait. Sean, you need to kind of think about, well, this year is almost over, but think about 2024.
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah.
We're gonna make it happen. There's gonna be it's gonna happen. I
Okay.
feel it's gonna happen. It's gonna be good. We'll do a little temptations, high stepping, and
Okay.
you know
Okay.
it's gonna happen. It's
I'm
gonna
gonna hold
happen.
it to you. I'm gonna hold you to that, right?
Hold me.
Okay.
Friends, Natasha Nurse, please follow her, connect with her. She is truly an inspiration who is leaving a legacy of love, of innovation, of creativity, and helping make the world a better place. Natasha, you have an open invitation to be on this podcast anytime, friend.
I have to tell you, Sean, I had the best time, and always know that you have been a role model for me, and I watch you very closely. And I appreciate the work that you put out there for others to be inspired by. And just thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, you're very welcome, and all gratitude for you. As I sign off here on Principal Liner Notes podcast with Natasha, the typical sign off, don't forget to share with the world your dreams, your visions, your ideas, your legacy, because they help make the world a better place, and the world needs you just like the world needs Tasha Nurse. Thank you so much, Tasha.
Thank you, Sean.
This is Sean Gaylord from the Principal Liner Notes podcast, signing off. Thanks and peace.